Welcome to Code Station.
As discussed in the previous video, get and post are two examples of superglobals used to take input from user via a form. The input which is given to it is transferred to the code using the get variable or the post variable. Today we are going to discuss about the cookies and sessions, which are also a superglobals. So in PHP, cookies and sessions are two mechanisms used to store and manage user data between HTTP requests. It allows web applications to store and maintain the state of the information for personalized user experience. So what does this mean is cookies or sessions, they serve similar purposes but have different characteristics and use cases. Like the syntax is different and its implementation is different. But both do the same work of storing the state, that is the data of the user client, in order to return it back when it logs in. So let's see how these two superglobals are used. Cookies are small pieces of data that are stored on a user's computer by a website. They are used to remember information about the user, such as their preferences and login credentials. So as you know, the password is saved on Google, the username is saved on Google, and various such things are saved on Google so that you can fill it, you can use autofill to fill this information, which saves your time and gives a more personalized experience. So they are done using cookies. In PHP, cookies can be created using the setCookie function. This function takes several parameters, including name of the cookie, its value, expiration date, time, and various other things. Cookies can be used to enhance the user experience on a website by remembering their preferences, such as their language or currency, and displaying relevant content accordingly. Not only to store the data, it also uses to store your preferences, that is setting you choose on a particular website. So you don't have to do or repeat the same steps again and again, and you can get a head start every other time. Cookies are stored on the client's machine, making them suitable for client-side data storage. So cookies are stored on our very own browser. They have an expiration time, after which they are automatically removed from the user's browser. You may have come across a thing called allow cookies for any particular website. It basically does is it sets your preferences, the preferences that you set, the language or the other preferences like time, location, whatever the preferences you have customized according to your own will be stored in that cookie information as a information in that cookie, and the next time you load that page will be displayed for you. Cookies can store relatively small amount of data, usually limited to a few kilobytes. Cookies can be set to expire as a specific date or when the browser is closed. So cannot be deleted. It can only be set to a particular time from which after that it won't be available. Or when the browser is closed, that is a particular session ended, the cookie is deleted. So let's see the syntax to create a cookie. To create a cookie in PHP, you simply use the setCookie function and specify the name of the cookie, its value, and any other optional parameters. But the name and the value is compulsory. You can also use the underscore cookie superglobal array to access and modify existing cookies. So a cookie is created with the setCookie function as discussed. The syntax of the setCookie function is setCookie name, then name of the cookie, then its value to be stored, expiry date, path, domain, secure, HTTP only. So the further are the optional parameters, but name and value are the necessary parameters. For example, setting a cookie, set cookie username, that is the name of the cookie, then John is the value that we are storing in the username, and time. So time plus time function, which is the current time, it gives you the current time plus 3600 and 600 seconds additional. So after that, that is the 1 hour, it exactly after 1 hour the cookie will be deleted. So retrieving a cookie. So now that we have set a cookie name username, dollar username is equal to it is a array. So dollar underscore cookie, and the key that we are accessing from the array is username, which is stored in the username variable. implementation of cookie and session in a separate video where we'll be handling, we will be doing form handling techniques. So we'll use all the super globals discussed yet till now in those implementation. So session. So in sessions are a way to store information about a user on the server side rather than on the client side like cookies. So in cookies, it used to be stored on our very own browser, but in sessions, the information is sent over to a server and stored there. They are created when a user logs into a website and can be used to keep a track of their activities as they navigate through the site. One of the main benefits of using sessions is that they provide a more secure way to store the data because the information is stored on a server side. It is less vulnerable to attack from users. Additionally, sessions can be used to store larger amount of data than cookies, making them ideal for storing things like shopping cart contents or user preferences. It is a very good example that our favorites or our wish list is stored. Every time you open the page, you don't have to go and again create a wish list. It is already there for you, which is stored in a server using session. Now some characteristics of session. Session data is stored on the server, typically in files or database, making it suitable for server-side data storage. Session data is not directly accessible by the client, making it more secure or for sensitive information. Sessions can store larger amount of data as compared to cookies, and by default PHP uses cookies to store the session ID. But it can also be configured to use URL parameters or other methods. Sessions are often used for tasks like authentication, tracking shopping carts, and maintaining user-specific data across multiple page requests. So each page you do not have to create another cookie. All the data collectively is stored in a session on a server. So session is a server-side mechanism for storing and managing user data throughout a user's interaction with the web application. So throughout your surfing, the data is stored collectively. It typically involves the use of unique session ID, that is the session ID, which is stored in a cookie or passed in a URL. So to create a session, we use a session start function, which stores the $session user ID or which is equal to 123. Then retrieving the data, so user ID variable will store the user ID key and the value which is retrieved from the session array. Now let's discuss some points that compare session with cookie for us. So data storage. First thing is cookie stores data on client side while the server session stores the data on the server side. Data size. Cookies are limited to some small amount of data, some kilobytes, whereas sessions can store larger amounts of data because it uses files or databases to store the data. Security. Sessions are generally more secure for sensitive data because it is less exposed to the client. And persistence. Cookies can persist for a longer duration, including across browser sessions, because as we set our time, it will be available for that much amount of time. Whereas sessions typically expire when the user closes their browser after a specific period. So you may have come across a term or a pop-up that is a session ended. So that is basically that this period or a specific amount of period for which the session start has been closed. Lastly, use cases. Cookies are suitable for remembering user preference, tracking user behavior, or implementing features like Remember Me. Sessions are ideal for user authentication, storing shopping cart contents, and maintaining user-specific data. So with this, we conclude our part of discussing what are superglobals, cookies, and sessions, and how are they used, where are they used, and what makes it different from each other rather than serving the same purpose. How are they different from each other? So in PHP, cookies and sessions are used to store and manage user data to provide a personalized user experience. In practice, web applications often use both cookies and sessions together. For example, a session ID is created, which is stored in a cookie to link a user's session data to their browser. The combination allows for a flexible and a secure way to manage user state. That is, a cookie will not have the information, user information, but it will have a session ID which contains the information. So which becomes a more secure and a flexible way to store this. We'll see the implementation of cookie and session in our next video, where we'll be working with form handling methods and using the get, post, cookies and sessions which we have discussed till now in that implementation. Till then, learn more about superglobals and PHP and how to implement them in your project. Thank you for watching.